Hello everyone and welcome back. Welcome to another crafty decor adventure. Olivia or the Olivias from Mackenzie-Childs, and in today's video I am so excited to share with you guys 10 DIY Dollar Tree Mackenzie-Childs inspired decor crafts. So I absolutely love the designer brand Mackenzie-Childs. I love their goodies and I do love to shop their goodies when they're on sale. But if you guys want to recreate and kind of dupe some of their lovely items, definitely join me for this video. And also I am giving away a $100 Hobby Lobby gift card giveaway. All you all have to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a comment down below. So I love y'all so much. I want to encourage you guys to keep up the good work crafting and decorating. It's so good for your heart and soul. I'm just such a believer in it. And without further ado, let's go ahead and plug in those glue guns. Get out your glitter and paint and let's get to crafty.
This summer vibes sign and transform it into a little bit more multi-seasonal purpose. So I removed the limes, and let me tell you, I think this sign is absolutely adorable. I actually picked up two so I could use one for the summer and then one for this project. I'm also going to take some DAP patch and paint, and I'm just going to patch the little holes that were at the top of this sign. Now this step is optional, and they also sell the patch and paint at Dollar Tree in a smaller container. The next thing I want to do is take some of the Waverly White chalk paint, and this is the last of my chalk paint, you guys. I cannot find it at Walmart anywhere, so please comment and help a girl out and let me know. Do you guys know if there's anywhere online where we can buy this Waverly White chalk paint? Anyway, drop a comment down below. I did use 3 coats of the chalk paint, and then I'm going to share with you guys can do some lettering with some of the Dollar Tree poster board lettering, or I'm going to share with you guys a really cute little Cricut design that I use for this project. I found this Home Sweet Home side on the Cricut design space, and I'm just going to go ahead and print it out on my Cricut. Again, you can use Dollar Tree lettering if you do not have a Cricut, no big deal at all. I used some transfer paper to create a transfer Home Sweet Home, and then I'm just going to apply it to the front of my little sign. Now I'm a total Cricut beginner, so I'm using the pre-made templates. I even kind of struggle with those, so comment and let me know if you guys have any tips for me also on what are some great Cricut tutorials. I am doing my best to learn as I go. Now that I have my transfer applied, I am going to save and reuse the little transfer tape, and then I'm going to take this gold paint pen. Now I found this at Michael's, and you can use your half off coupon. I believe it was $6. Dollar Tree also is carrying a gold paint pen though, but I do like the larger one just for some of these larger projects. Now I'm taking a ruler and I'm just going to draw some little lines here. I want to create a little check pattern at the top of my Home Sweet Home sign. If you guys have been following me, you know that I have been crushing on Mackenzie-Childs checkerboard. I think it's a fun, interesting take on the buffalo check, which I know is going to be super hot again this season, but I want to give it my own little twist. So I kind of love the Mackenzie-Childs checkerboard. Comment and let me know if you're a little obsessed with me right now as well. So I'm just going ahead and painting the little black squares, and this project was rather easy. The flat surfaces are really great to start with. Just a little tip if you guys are afraid to try the checkerboard pattern, and let me tell you, start with a flat surface. That will really help it stay steady. And also some of you all have been remarking to just use a Sharpie instead of the paintbrush, which is an awesome idea too. So now that I have my little black checks painted, I'm going in with a little bit of gold and white to kind of give it that hand painted look, and just going in and around my checks. So this gold paint pen is called the DECOR Premium Primo Pro pen. I guess somebody had asked me what it was, so hopefully that will help you if you decide you want to try that. But again, I'm also using the gold paint pen from Dollar Tree. It actually works pretty well. It's just the tip of it isn't as wide as I need for some of these larger projects. So I'm going back in with just a little bit of gold and white detail work. That's something to be said, is the more kind of little details you add to some of these projects, a little bit more high end it looks. And I also decided to go ahead and give it this glam gold handle. I really wanted this to be a neutral sign. I wanted it to go for multi-seasons, so it can go for fall, Christmas, spring, pretty much any season with the black and white and a little bit of gold accent. And then I can even tie a bow on the handle. And think about this too, you guys can do any saying on the side, the front of the sign that you want to do. You don't have to do the Home Sweet Home. You could do, you know, Southern sweet tea or welcome or any little happy fall, y'all, anything that you guys want to do. So I popped it in to this little setting, and oh my goodness, I am so crushing on these pops of black and white and sunflowers. And again, black and white is so versatile, you guys, so think about that. But I'm just going to chalk paint the entire thing, and of course I guess I could use regular paint, but for quick and easy paint jobs I have just gotten so addicted to chalk paint. So I'm going to go ahead and give it 2 coats of the chalk paint, and then I decided it needed a little bit of some French flair, so I decided to go ahead and use my painter's tape and a Sharpie and just draw out some stripes. My idea is to create just a cute little kind of candle box, or just any little tiny box that can sit on a tray and give it that kind of French Paris, French country feel. And so I'm just going to go ahead and draw more lines with my Sharpie. And then once I have that finished, I can add some black paint. You can use any acrylic black paint will work. And I did pretty good at drawing my lines. Again, I've just kind of now picked my paintbrush back up again. So I want to encourage you all, if you are a little bit rusty at painting or you haven't painted in a while, I'm actually taking a Skillshare class for 101 acrylics, and so hopefully I can share more of my painting skills with you all. Now I am going to go ahead and draw some squares. I decided to give it a little bit of a Mackenzie-Childs feel on the lid. Again, I feel like the Mackenzie-Childs checks are a really high-end boutique look that kind of gives that buffalo check flair that we're going to be seeing heading into fall, but gives it a little bit of a different look. And then I want to go in and add some dimension and highlight to my stripes with just a tiny touch of gold and white paint. Not very much, just enough to dab it on there and make it appear to be hand painted.
You set my world on fire. I don't know what I'd do without you. Smile, what is it that you do? My life was great till you added colors.
For the side of the box, I decided to add some stripes, and then I'm going in with my paint pen. Again, this is that DecoR paint pen that I found at Michael's. I'm guessing they may carry it online. I love the tip because it's a wider tip. I've also been using the Dollar Tree little gold paint pen as well, but the tip on it is super tiny. So comment and let me know if you guys have seen one that Dollar Tree is carrying that has a wider tip. I'm just not sure about that. So here is my adorable little French country, French farmhouse box. I popped one of those flameless flickering candles in, which if you guys have not tried those, I'm going to leave the link down below for those and for the adorable muffins. So for the next Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take some of those Dollar Tree sunflower plates that I shared with you guys in my last haul. Go check it out if you need some fun summer ideas for how to set a beautiful summer table and what Dollar Tree is carrying. But I am going to take this piece of painter's tape and run it down the center, and then begin to use my Sharpie marker to just draw out lines. So you could do a fun stripe down this plate, which I definitely played with the idea of just doing a stripe, or you could go in a little bit further and do that Mackenzie-Childs courtly check look. So that's what I decided to go for. It was a little bit tricky on the edges of the plate, and you could probably skip that part, which if I do more I probably will, and just do the front part like right here where I'm showing you guys. So you're just going to take your painter's tape and mark out those squares. This is super easy. And then you're going to go in with some black paint. Now I did find black glass paint at Michael's, so it's great for painting on glass. I've also used acrylic paint, which works great as well, and I believe the glass paint is also acrylic paint. It's just more for glass, and it's very price friendly. I think it was $2 for a bottle. But again, I use acrylic paint all the time. I just happened to find this at Michael's, and Michael's was actually out of so many of their paints. Comment and let me know if you guys are seeing that in your stores where they're out of so many different crafting supplies. I'm guessing it's because everybody is at home crafting right now. So now that I have my black checkered squares, I'm going in and I'm adding in just some touches of white and just begin to kind of touch some of those little edges up, and then also filling in with a smaller brush the rest of those black parts. So this is gold paint. It's just in the color gold by Arteza Craft Company, and it's what I use to drag the gold in. So if you studied the Mackenzie-Childs checks, the Courtly check always has a little bit of whites and golds dragged into their checks. And so to do that, you're just going to take your brush and you're going to dab one side of the brush with a bit of gold and the other side with a little bit of white or black, whichever square that you're coloring in. That's what I have found so far to kind of give it that look. Now, I am still learning, and in fact, I am taking some of those beginner acrylic classes and on Skillshare, which is super exciting. You guys are going to definitely have to try some of those. But it's such a lesson in patience, and I guess I'm just so excited to learn this new skill with the acrylic painting. I have painted with oils before, but I've never tried my hand really at acrylics. So I thought this was super fun and fabulous, and it's very forgiving as well. So I also picked up this DECOR Premium Pro pen at Michael's, and it's just a gold leafing metallic pen. That's giving me a little bit more control over doing that gold edging. So Mackenzie-Childs actually does a gold edging on their plate, so I love that. So here is how everything is going to look. I'm adding this beautiful charger that I also hand painted, and I'm going to add in the Dollar Tree sunflower dish. Now, my inspiration came from this high-end decor store that was selling sunflower plates that had this black background, and they were $25 a plate, and we customized and made our own for only $1 plus your paint supplies. Here's also that little Dollar Tree. This is more of a dish towel, but I popped a napkin ring that I DIY'd, and then if you tuck the ends under, you have a really beautiful napkin place setting. Very nice for display and great for your guests to wipe their hands on. So for the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm taking these Dollar Tree garden planters, and they were originally a different color. I painted them white just with some spray paint, and now I'm taking some Mod Podge and this Mackenzie-Childs napkin. So the napkins are on Mackenzie-Childs.com, and they're about $6.95 for a pack of these cocktail napkins, which is what I use in my projects for this project. And I'm just taking I'm using the waterproof Mod Podge. Now I am going to leave these outside, so the waterproof Mod Podge really helps. Otherwise, you don't want to leave your items that you've Mod Podged outside. So I just added a nice good layer of Mod Podge, and then I'm going to peel off the white part of the napkin, and then I'm going to add the napkin to the front of the planter. Now, if you wanted to get really technical, you could cut all these flowers out and really make it perfect and pretty, but I'm just going to pop these outside on my front gardening table, and so I'm just going to go for it and have fun and just add some layers of beautiful napkins. I loved the one that I did for inside my house, and so I've been racking my brain how to kind of duplicate this on something for the outside, and so this was the perfect solution. And I did add a layer of Mod Podge on top of the napkin, and then I'm just trimming it off, and then also taking in and around the edge of it and adding another layer of Mod Podge, and that's going to pull that napkin kind of over. And so once I have that finished off, I can just go ahead and take another napkin and add another napkin in. So again, same technique, you just add Mod Podge all over your little project. And I was going a little bit quickly, and so the napkin did get stuck while I was Mod Podging, but it would be nice if you have the extra time to kind of let everything dry in between coats. But I'm going for it and just getting this done, and so adding lots of layer of Mod Podge on the bottom part of the planter and then over the top part, and voila, you have an ultra fabulous $1, except for the napkins, Mackenzie-Childs inspired planter. And if you guys have seen their website, their stuff is so gorgeous because it's hand painted, and props to all the artists out there that do their work. But I really love that we can dupe these in our own budget. So definitely having fun with this and duping some of these, as well as I do own a couple of their pieces that were a gift to me by my wonderful husband, Mr. Romantic, aka, and his real name is Josh. So There we have it. And then I wanted to show you guys too this little black one. So the black one's really pretty. It was a little bit bold. Usually I do a lot of pastels and more kind of shabby chic French farmhouse vibe, but I love this black. And several of you guys have commented and let me know actually that you had ordered the black, and you can see I was starting a different DIY with these. I was going to actually paint them, hand paint them, and realized that was going to be very time consuming and tedious, so I went for the Mod Podge technique. Now the next part of this DIY, I'm going to create a floral, so I'm just hot gluing some floral foam onto the base of this, and that way I can create a pretty little arrangement. So on the table that I have outside, it gets so much sun that it's really difficult to keep plants alive, so I wanted to go for something that was fake. So I'm just using this pile of flowers. They're from the thrift store, garage sales, the craft store, and a mix of Dollar Tree. So just grab whatever you have on hand to create a really fun little summer bouquet. I'm using daisies and roses and tulips, and then some little purple flowers that I had, again, just popping them in kind of randomly, but with the same color scheme that's in with the project that I'm working on. Now I'm just adding a little bit of faux green moss that you pick up at Dollar Tree or pretty much any craft store, and that's going to kind of fill it in and give it that fun little summer garden vibe. And I am so crushing on this little creation. These are so fun and inexpensive, and they just go along perfectly with what I'm doing out on my front porch. So I'm just mixing in super adorable sunflowers on the Mackenzie-Childs website for $15 each, and I knew we could duplicate them using Dollar Tree sunflowers. So I'm taking these Dollar Tree sunflowers, and they actually come 5 to a bundle, and then this ribbon that I found off Amazon, and I'm just going to cut it about the length that I would want to make my petal, and then I'm going to trim off the wired part, and then I'm going to begin to cut the ribbon in strips. And then once you have it cut in strips, you just want to take your scissors and round the ends. Now I also like to leave my ribbon just a little bit long, and that way I have the option of trimming it down just a little bit instead of them the petals being too short. So once you have your petals ready to assemble, you can go ahead and add a tiny drop of hot glue to the ends of the petals, and then just nestle them down into your sunflower. Now this is a little bit tedious, I will say, because it's very easy to burn the tips of your fingers, so use the little Dollar Tree finger protectors if you have them, or just be extra careful. Now my fingertips are pretty tough, so it doesn't actually really hurt that much if I do get a dab of hot glue on them, but I just wanted to leave you guys a little note. So continue to hot glue and add your super cute little petals here, and also remember you can customize this to suit your fancy, whatever kind of decor style you are going for. I also decided to glam these up, and I'm using these beautiful jewels. You get them on totallydazzle.com. I'll leave you guys the link down below. They're like $1.50 each at the most, which is a super great deal. They look super vintage, and then if you don't have these jewels, you guys could always use a piece of grandma's broken jewelry or maybe an old earring, but just hot glue that to the center and you have the most fabulous custom sunflower. This is something that you would see at a boutique. And then you guys can put a brooch on the back of them. You can go ahead and add that floral stem back onto it, which is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to use it in this super beautiful over the top flower arrangement that I'm going to share with you guys. So here is how my two came out, and then I'm going to share with you guys how to do this Dollar Tree floral arrangement. And yes, this is all Dollar Tree supplies minus the tiny little green tendrils that are hanging down from it. Cannot wait to share this with you guys. Oh my goodness. Dollar Tree DIY. We're going to take a Dollar Tree margarita glass, flip it upside down, use some E6000 glue along the edge and a little bit of hot glue. And then with those Dollar Tree vases, you're going to let that dry for about 24 hours, and then you can chalk paint it white, or you can also spray paint it white, and that is going to give you this really cool vase. So I did add about 2 to 3 coats, and you want to let each coat dry in between. I love the Waverly white chalk paint, but it has been sold out everywhere in my stores, so I was just using this Kilns paint, but again, spray painting it would work as well. Then you want to pop some of your Dollar Tree foam in, and then you can create your arrangement. Now, for this vase though, I wanted to go ahead and take and use that painter's tape and create and make a beautiful Mackenzie-Childs vase. I have had my eye on one that's on their website, and it's over $100, you guys. It's just not in my budget, and I knew I could try to DIY one myself. So I'm taking the painter's tape and I ran it down and made stripes with my Sharpie marker, and then I'm going around it to make that checkerboard pattern. Now, I did make a little bit of a mistake because I ended up with an extra check, and somehow, I don't know, the pattern got a little bit off, but because it was a vase and not a flat plate, I feel like I was able to make it work. I also am taking the painter's tape and I'm creating a design down the base of the margarita glass, or our new vase as you guys would have it, and I'm just using my Sharpie again. The Sharpie really helps for you guys to be able to kind of know where your lines are to paint in between them. So I'm using this, it's called a Patina blue, and I'm going to take that blue, and it's with the Arteza craft paint, but it's actually probably a lighter blue. The Mackenzie-Childs blue is more of a navy dark blue, but this is what I had on hand, and I always encourage you all to try to use what you already have in your home before you run out and buy new supplies. But I'm just taking my paintbrush and I'm painting the checks, and be careful because it's really easy to skip a pattern. So you kind of just want to work in a line or even mark out where you're supposed to paint. I get a little, I don't know, I just lose my train of thought sometimes. My kids are running around and I end up talking to someone and I'll jump the pattern. But have some grace with yourself. All you have to do is use a little bit of white paint to drop back in and clean that up. And also remember, with Mackenzie-Childs checks, they're all hand painted, and so you can actually see the artist's lines in there and see where it's not perfect. So this is such a great pattern to use as a beginner pattern to give yourself grace with. So always give yourself grace. You can always use white to go back over whatever you need to go back over. So here I am just continuing on with the blue checks, and so I lay down a layer of blue, and then I go in and I overlay a layer of white on top of that with a little bit of blue mixed into it to kind of lighten things up. Now I'm taking my brush and dragging it with white and blue together to create this lighter blue check. Again, the Mackenzie-Childs pattern is a little bit more of a royal blue, and mine's coming out, I feel like, with a little bit more of an aqua blue undertone, and I might just be seeing that with my eye. I think everybody's eye sees colors a little bit differently. So anyway, here's a close-up of how I'm creating this pattern. So you can see I take my brush, it's got white and blue kind of on each side of the brush, and then I take and I drag it and I flip the brush to the other side, and that's going to give you that color on the other side, and it's going to give you that really pretty kind of hand painted look. Now this vase was very tricky for me to keep my hands steady, and I did have to go back in and straighten up my lines, and they weren't perfect. It was difficult for me because I can be a bit of a perfectionist, so this is going to take a lot more practice than doing the plate. So note to self, this is probably more of an advanced project, I'm guessing, but I'm still a beginner, so just maybe more advanced and patient. So here is the finished product. I did add some of those kind of little gold flecks, and I did take my paintbrush and kind of edge the under part of the vase with some gold. Comment and let me know what you all think. I think it turned out absolutely gorgeous. It is definitely a labor of love, and it was just what I was going for, to have that kind of late summer. Now I want to share with you all how to do a beautiful sunflower in bloom floral arrangement. So I'm starting out with the Dollar Tree wheatgrass, and I want to put that into the center of the arrangement. And I'm going to share with you all how to create this vase a little bit later in this video, so definitely stay with me. I'm also adding in some of the Dollar Tree. They're a cream colored hydrangea, and then the Dollar Tree sunflowers. And I have cut all of the stems of the fake florals off at the base of the stem. And you're just going to continue to add in your flowers. And then I also decided to fill it out a little bit more and add more wheatgrass in the center. I really want the center part to have height and dimension. And then I'm going in with some of these little smaller little Dollar Tree florals. So the palette on this is going to feel like a summer in bloom. I want to keep the whites and the greens in here because it is still summer, but these sunflowers and these pretty little wheatgrass stems are going to give you the feel of almost an early fall without it being fall. So it's a great transition from your 4th of July red, white, and blue to pull the red and blue out of your arrangement and add in the sunflowers and just kind of these pops of the Gerbera daisies and the wheatgrass. Again, it's hinting at that late summer harvest or just full bloom summer. So I'm using the blue check vase that I created. I'm going to share with you guys how to create this. It's all Dollar Tree, believe it or not. You guys are going to go crazy for this, and it's such a surprise, and this is such a budget. So for each floral that I'm adding, I use 2 bundles of flowers. So 2 bundles of sunflowers, 2 bundles of hydrangeas, 1 bundle of roses, and then 2 bundles of the wheatgrass, and then these little tiny, I believe they're like little tiny mums. I'm not completely for sure. Here is how it looks so far. And again, you're just going to kind of add your florals in. I want it to be kind of wild and summery, how everything blooms and is beautiful and bright and colorful. So just continue to add those florals and play around with them to your fancy. Now here is how your arrangement is going to look once you are all finished. And if you can see, I added 2 of those pretty bling sunflowers into the center of the arrangement. I also popped in a couple of apples, again, because we're feeling that harvest in the summertime, and I think it looks fabulous. Now the only thing that wasn't Dollar Tree is I added these tiny little lime green stems of florals that I picked up at the thrift store, but these sunflowers, oh my goodness, they add that boutique pop of surprise, something that you would see from a high-end florist. It's going to just add that beauty, and that glam is so perfect. You guys know I love that glam. For the first Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take some of these Dollar Tree metal flowers, and the first thing I want to do is just very gently bend them apart. I want to go ahead and spray paint them white with my Rust-Oleum matte white spray paint, and I want to get between all of the petals. The other thing I want to do is cover them with a plastic bag so I don't get any white spray paint on the petals. My idea for these is to create a really beautiful Mackenzie-Childs inspired floral metal flower. So I want to start out with this base of white spray paint. I ended up only needing 1 coat, but I did spray the front and the back really well. The next step is I'm going to take some of this parchment paper or wax paper, and I want to trace out one of the petals. And this is a great little tip. So you just take your parchment paper and you lay it on top of whatever you're going to be decoupaging on top of, and just trace it out. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut a petal. So this project I have had in my head to do, and it was so fun to bring it to life. So I'm taking these beautiful floral Mackenzie-Childs napkins. You can find them on the Mackenzie-Childs website. I'm so in love with their beautiful work, but the prices are a little bit much for me. So I'm just taking my template with the wax paper and I'm tracing out all of the petals that I'm going to need for this project. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut the petals out. Now I don't pull apart the white backing of the napkin until I'm done cutting them and tracing them out. I hope that makes sense. So there's several layers of a napkin, and for these you'll want to go ahead and pull apart until you get to the smallest layer. I'm also using some of this dishwasher safe Mod Podge, but really any Mod Podge will do if you're going to leave these inside of your home. They are metal flowers and they were out in my garden, so I had originally wanted to put them back out of my garden, but after all of the work that it took to do this, I may end up leaving them inside. So I'm adding a layer of Mod Podge, and then I'm adding my petal on. And be careful because it's kind of a little bit difficult with, as tedious as this is, but it is so well worth it in the end. And once you have your little petal all the way positioned, you can just take a nice layer of Mod Podge and run that over that. And then you can see I'm kind of tipping the end of the floral petal. And so here we go. It is basically just gluing these pretty pieces of napkin on here. And there was really no rhyme or reason. I tried to kind of space the hot pink, the darker color out every other petal with some of the lighter colors, but I wanted this to be really whimsical and really fun and creative and just look like this patchwork bloom of design, which I've been studying the Mackenzie-Childs designs, and they're so whimsical and beautiful. And check out how this came out. Oh my goodness, I am over the moon in heaven with this project. So it did take about an hour front to back to do this project, so it's going to take me a couple of more hours to do more of these, but well worth it. So the next Dollar Tree DIY, I found this rug on the Mackenzie-Childs website, and it was $200 and something. I took this Dollar Tree rug and I used some white paint because originally they're gray, and you do have to use a generous layer of white paint, and I painted it white and I let it dry for about 2 days. And then I'm going to take this ruler and I'm just going to begin to trace out an edging with the ruler. Now, I'm not going to get as detailed as the rug that I saw on the website because this takes a lot of time, patience, and paint actually. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just add lines. I decided to do stripes on the outside of the rug. So I'm just taking the marker, and this is just a Sharpie, and I'm marking out stripes. And once I had that done, here is how that's going to look. And now I'm going to take my ruler and I want to create more of like a diamond or a harlequin pattern. So I'm just making lines in a diagonal motion. Now this may not be exactly how you're supposed to do it, but this is how I went about it for my sanity and how I felt like would be the easiest to show you guys how to do it. So I'm just tracing in this kind of sideways direction to create the little diamonds, and then I'm going to go in with some of my blue paint, and I had a lot of blue paint, so I originally thought I was going to do black paint, but I had been running low, and so I went in with the blue paint because I knew this was going to take quite a bit of paint. And I just decided to go ahead and start coloring in the blue, and I was going to skip, but then I decided to go completely down a line. It's kind of a little bit trial and error sometimes with me, but I did skip on the upper diamond pattern and then just do blue in one line and then white in one line and then blue in one line. I hope that makes sense, but you guys will see more as I progress throughout this. Originally I thought I was going to skip one of the white ones, but then that didn't make sense. And for me, my brain is super creative, but I don't really see the shapes very well sometimes. So sometimes it takes me a minute to catch on to the pattern and to know what to use. But here's how it's turning out. And I also used a dab of white in there. So I'm adding in blue and then giving a little bit of overlay of white to give it some dimension and to lighten that blue up just a little bit because I want it to feel a little bit more fresh for summer and not have as much darkness, but also add in the touches of white so it would match my vase and my plates that I had painted. Now I'm just painting the stripes on the outside of my rug, and again I'm laying down a layer of the blue paint and then just adding in some white paint. This is a bit time consuming and it does take a bit of paint, but if you have that on hand you can create this really beautiful mat for next to nothing. Also, I am going to go back in and seal it with an acrylic sealer spray. I also added a little gold rimming, but check this out. I think this is much more bright. For the next DIY, I found another Mackenzie-Childs inspiration piece. It was a candle. So I'm taking this candle, it's an LED candle that I found at the thrift store, and I'm just going to go ahead and add some Mod Podge to the outside of the candle. I printed off a checkerboard pattern. I just went to the internet, I googled checkerboard pattern, I printed it off, and I'm going to add it to the outside of this candle. Now Dollar Tree does have LED candles if you happen to snag any of those, or you can just use a regular candle, whatever you all have on hand. You could also even use a jar, but I'm just going over this with a layer of Mod Podge on the underneath and then on top of it. To finish this candle project off, I went ahead and printed out another sheet of the checkerboard pattern, and then I'm just Mod Podging the rest of it on there. I will tell you that I just used a regular printer and regular printer paper. You guys just go for it, use what you have fun. And I did apply, again, a generous layer of Mod Podge over this because I do want it to be somewhat long lasting. I love the pops of black and white. I think this can really transition into any season. It can go summer with lemons, it can go into fall for Halloween, and it can even go for Christmas. So have fun with it and get creative. Now for the next DIY, I'm taking this thrift store candlestick and I'm adding this little Dollar Tree scrolly frame to the top of this. And I'm deciding that I want to have like kind of a fancy stand for my candle. I'm using what I have on hand and I'm just adding some Dollar Tree floral foam to the top. I decided that I wanted to create a springish summer greenery piece. So I'm just clipping off some greenery pieces. Again, this is greenery that I had on hand. These are Dollar Tree hydrangeas and then just some nice spring greenery. I believe I found it at Michael's or maybe Walmart, but I'm clipping them off fairly short because I want the greenery piece to kind of spill over but not be too long. Now, how fun and fabulous is this looking? Oh my goodness. I had so much fun creating this. So I'm just adding in some more little bits of greenery. I love the pops of lime against the black and white. I really feel like this is my new color, at least for this week right now. You guys know I love to share with you all so many different types of decor looks. And I've always thought Mackenzie-Childs was just super fun and different and creative. And so I thought, well, let's do some inspired pieces. I did end up going ahead and adding a little bow over here to the side. This was some ribbon with stripes and then just kind of some Paris inspired ribbon along with some burlap. It's that mesh burlap. I found that at burlapfabric.com, but I just dug into my stash for this one. And of course I'm dovetailing my ends and adding a little tail here. Here is how it came out. How fun. And oh my goodness, I really feel like this looks very high end and boutique gorgeous on a teeny tiny budget. For the next DIY, I'm going to take these little Dollar Tree garden planters, and these are just two little clay pots that I had painted white. It was from another DIY, but I'm repurposing it and reusing it. I'm using the painter's tape again because I want to create some stripes down these pots. I've seen some really neat black and white pots, and I'm going to do a mini version. I do want to do some larger ones, but I wanted to try my hand at how this was going to to work. So I went ahead and used some black craft paint and used that to create these stripes. I decided to add some gold paint after I painted my stripes. I also painted the top part of my little planter with a black rim. Again, I'm going for more of a high-end kind of boutique look, kind of Mackenzie-Childs inspired. So here it is without the gold, and then you guys saw it with the gold. I ended up keeping it with the gold. I just found that to be a little bit more glam and fabulous, but this could go either way, and you could even incorporate this into kind of some more chic modern farmhouse look. I added in some greenery, just some little lamb's ear that I found at Walmart, and then some other greenery. I thought it looked really great in this little 2-tier scalloped edge tray. Again, I found that at Target Dollar Spot. So for the next DIY, I want to create a beautiful vase. Now this Mackenzie-Childs inspired vase was originally $100. I have this Dollar Tree vase that I had originally painted white for this session of DIYs, and then I changed my mind at the last minute and decided to print out some more of that checkerboard pattern. I'm adding Mod Podge to the back of the checkerboard, and then I'm just going to lay that on top of my vase. This was going to be a lot easier. My original plan was to paint this white and then hand paint the checkerboard pattern, but after how long it took for me to do the cup, I decided that maybe it would be a quicker and easier idea for me to just go ahead and Mod Podge this together. So depending upon how much time you had, you could either hand paint the checkerboards, or you could cheat like me and go ahead and Mod Podge them to the vase. Now this is a Dollar Tree vase, and I just printed out some checkerboard pattern and I'm Mod Podging it to this little vase. So we had the $100 vase, which is amazing, and I completely respect the artist and the artistry, but we're doing a dupe on this, and so I thought it would just be fun to share with you guys. If you cannot afford the $100 vase, or you just want to play around and create something and see if you want to incorporate some black and white into your decor like me. I don't usually do a whole lot of black and white, but for some reason I'm just really crushing on this look right now. So I was able to get one whole section done, and then I did print out another section of the black and white checkerboard, and then needed to add that again with the Mod Podge and then a heavy layer of glue over that. So I went ahead and just popped some white Dollar Tree flowers into this vase, and here is how it has all come together. I love this little gratitude is the best attitude. I found that last year at Dollar Tree, but it is such a wonderful reminder for me just to be grateful for every moment and every day. I found this Mackenzie-Childs play on the Neiman Marcus website for $68, and I knew we could duplicate it using Dollar Tree supplies. Dollar Tree DIY, I found this super adorable Mackenzie-Childs charger. It was $65. I knew we could use some of the Dollar Tree chargers, and so I'm just going to go ahead and spray paint this charger with some white Rust-Oleum matte spray paint. It is my favorite spray paint, and I feel like it is worth the $4 a bottle that you spend to get the little bit better spray paint. So I'm taking the painter's tape, and then I'm just adding stripes down the plate, and I always start in the center and then work my way out on each side, and that should give you a cohesive look. And it doesn't have to be perfect, remember, so give yourself grace. And now I'm taking the painter's tape and I'm just going to run it down the opposite way, and that's also going to give you your little checkerboard squares. So you all could do stripes, or you could do checkerboard squares, whichever one you're in the mood for. Again, again, I did want to dupe that Mackenzie-Childs charger, and a charger is just a base plate that goes underneath your plate if you're wondering what I'm talking about with the charger. So now I'm taking some acrylic black craft paint, and I'm just going to begin to paint each square. I always lay down a base coat of the base of the color of square that I'm using. Now, if you don't care for the black and white, that's fine. You can always do pink or yellows or greens or whatever color is in your home decor. Choose that color, customize it to suit your fancy. I have seen so many of you all that are in my free Facebook group page over there, and join me over there. It's super fun, painting all different kinds of designs and different colors and checks, and you guys have so many amazing ideas. Thank you all so much for sharing. I just love to see what everybody's up to. You all are so inspiring and so amazing. So anyway, but I'm going for the black and white check. I do want this to take me through summer and into fall. So I'm just continuing to paint these black and white checks. And I will say that I have so much fun with this. I don't know why. It's a bit tedious, but it's also really relaxing for me for some reason. I know the pattern that I'm going to paint, and even if I make a little goof, like right here, I made a little goof, you can just wipe it off or paint over it with some white paint. So it's super easy to fix, and again, customizable to suit your colors, which I love. You can just get so creative with this pattern. Mackenzie-Childs, they were artists, and they were so creative and inventive with their designs. I just really love the whimsy of it and the fun of it. So have fun with it, customize it to suit your fancy, and don't be too hard on yourself if you have a little oopsie here and there. Now here is the fun part for me when I get to go in and do the gold rim and the little accent points. So just dragging a little bit of white and gold through some of those checks. And then I'm using that gold paint marker. I found this actually at Michael's. They do have one from Dollar Tree, but the tip on it was a little bit harder for me to work with. But depending on your budget, the gold pen I believe was about $5, and then you can use your coupon. But it does have a really nice gold finish. So here's how I'm adding it to my tablescape. I just have this little Dollar Tree bamboo placemat underneath, and then the Dollar Tree charger that we painted in the checkerboard style, and then this little sunflower plate that we also hand painted. This is from Dollar Tree, and I saw the sunflower tablescape at a really high-end decor store last weekend. They were selling their plates for $25 plus. I mean, they were super expensive in my opinion. Now, I'm not knocking anybody that pays $25 for a plate, because I've been there and paid some money for some things. But I just thought that we could dupe this with Dollar Tree supplies on a budget. And then here's that little Dollar Tree. It's actually supposed to be a hand towel, but I made it into a napkin just by folding it under and then adding those little DIY napkin rings that I shared with you guys. And then I want to create this really beautiful floral vase. Mackenzie-Childs has this line in their decor for garden that's like really beautiful with all of these florals. And I really can't justify spending over $100 on a vase, and so I decided just to make my own. I'm adding a healthy layer of Mod Podge, and then I'm just going to take this napkin and go directly on to the vase. This vase is going to sit close to my mantle, so it's pretty much only going to face outwardly in one direction. So I'm really okay with kind of some of the edges of the napkin showing through, but I do end up covering them. So now I'm going to take another layer of Mod Podge and just gently Mod Podge the front of that, and that way it gives it a nice coating. Now for the next step, I'm going to take another napkin, again, pulling apart those white layers, and then I'm just going to kind of measure it to see the size. I do want to cover up some of the edges over here, and you could get really creative with this and cut out all of the flowers and really do, you know, a perfect decoupage. But I just was not in the mood to do more cutting after I did the little flower petal project, and so I decided this was really pretty and fun and whimsical. So I'm just going to go ahead and add another layer of Mod Podge on top of this, and it did cover rather nicely. Now I also decided to add in some more of the flowers, so I did cut out one of the larger flowers just to kind of cover up one of the little spots where there was a seam, which you all can get so creative with this and have fun with it, relax. If you don't have these napkins, you could always use beautiful tissue paper or any kind of really pretty napkin that you might have on hand. So I popped some beautiful roses and a couple of little purple flowers that I had floating around in my floral stash. And look at how gorgeous this turned out. Oh my goodness, I just think that these flowers are so beautiful for summer, and nobody would know that this is a Dollar Tree tin. Again, get creative, use some pretty napkins or tissue paper or just cutouts or whatever you have on hand that's absolutely beautiful. I am crushing on this, and for only $1 and some change with the napkins, I will link a huge bow video down below for you guys in case you don't have a bow maker. I also make a bow without the Easy Bow Maker, but you're just going to pop your piece of wire down here. I used a pipe cleaner, and then I'm measuring it out 5 inches for my tail. And I have tried this Easy Bow Maker several times now, and I absolutely love it, you guys. You can buy them pretty much anywhere. Just Google Easy Bow Maker. I know Deco Exchange sells them as well as Amazon. So I'm just taking and I'm making the ribbon 5 inches on each side. What I love about it, it has the little measurements already on there, so it makes it super easy. And then I'm twisting my ribbon, and this is just some wired ribbon that I found on Amazon, and I'm going to create a little tail. So I'm going to cut in an upward direction, and that's going to create that really pretty little boutique finish. So here is my first layer. My idea is to do several different layers to give this wreath some nice texture. I also want to do this all season bow. That way I can reuse it for any season because it's going to have all neutral colors. So now I'm taking my striped ribbon, and I believe both of these ribbons are about 2.5 inches wide, and I'm going to give it a twist. You guys can see I gave it a twist. That way my black and white pretty part is facing out, and then I'm just going to go ahead and measure. This is also 5 inches wide, so each one of these loops back and forth is going to be 5 inches wide. And I wasn't super concerned about my tails, but you can also measure them perfectly if you want to. Again, don't forget to cut in an upwards triangle. You're just going to fold the ribbon over on itself, cut in an upwards triangle, and that's going to give you that pretty little dovetail in boutique finish. Now I'm adding in some of this burlap. I felt like the tobacco basket has kind of that farmhouse flair, so I felt like the burlap would be really pretty, and also the tan is going to pull in the tan from the tobacco basket and the sign. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut in an upwards direction again, and again, then I'm going to go ahead and add in another layer of ribbon. So for the next layer, I decided to use that Mackenzie-Childs inspired ribbon. I don't believe this is actually Mackenzie-Childs ribbon, but it is a lot less expensive. I'll link some in my Amazon store for you guys, as well as the bow maker and other crafting supplies that you all might need. I really have begun learning how to shop on Amazon. So again, I'm just making a 5-inch loop on each side and pressing it down. This is so foolproof. I love this bow maker, and you guys know me. I make the Olivia bow is what I call it for reference point. I make a handmade bow and I love that bow for my big wreaths, but for some of these smaller projects, I really feel like the control that you have with this easy bow maker is really nice. Now I'm adding in some of this burlap mesh ribbon, again about 5 inches on each side, and then once I have that done, I'm just going to trim that off, and then I'm going to take the little pipe cleaner and pull the whole bow up, and I want to twist that pipe cleaner to the back. Now I'm sure there's different ways to make this, but this is just the way that I found that's easiest for me for my project. So I'm going to take and twist tie the pipe cleaner on the back, and then I can add that bow to the front. And to add the bow, I just took a little floral stem and popped that into the center to secure it to the center of my project. And then my little tip for making a pretty bow is to make sure you really fluffy up your bow, pull all your ribbons out, and give them a
Now that my bow is all finished, I'm going to add it to this grapevine wreath base. I believe it's a 14 to 16 inch base that I found at Walmart. I have reused this base forever, so it even has a little bit of hot glue on it, but I'm just using a pipe cleaner to attach my pretty bow with. Now I'm taking this garland from Michael's and I'm going to cut the garland up because I need some greenery and I don't have any greenery and I don't want to run out and spend money when I already do have some garland here. So I'm just adding hot glue to the end of the garland pick here. Now use whatever greenery you have on hand, but I want to add the base of this as my greenery. Again, I want this to be more kind of an all-season wreath, something that I can pop out whenever I'm between seasons and I don't want, any wild colors going on. So I'm adding a dab of hot glue and continuing to work with the greenery. The next thing I want to do is add in this pretty little frame with this rooster picture. These are both from Dollar Tree. It's actually one of those skull Halloween frames that I had painted white, and I decided to go ahead and add a little bit more greenery over here to the top. I think a fun way to frame out a smaller sign is to add a frame back behind it. Make sure it's really lightweight, which that little white frame is. Now I'm continuing to clip off my greenery and add more greenery. And you guys asked to see the entire process, which I guess sometimes I think I make really weird faces and just odd things I feel happen sometimes when I'm making a wreath. And so a lot of times I'll cut some of that out, but here it is in all its full glory, me with my weird faces making wreaths. So I'm just continuing to trim off the greenery pieces and add them, and I'm kind of staggering them. So I'll add one to the base and then one to the top, and then take a step back to see how everything looks. Now I'm taking that lightweight Dollar Tree frame and I'm running a pipe cleaner through the base of it and then up in and around the wreath. Again, this step is probably optional and you really couldn't see it a whole lot once I actually had everything on there, but it did peek out, and a lot of times when you're doing wreaths, those layers of dimension are really what makes the eye just have a lot to look at. And you guys know I really love over-the-top designs, so now I'm adding that cute little Dollar Tree rooster picture frame. I picked this up last year sometime. It was kind of a rare find, I feel, but always keep your eyes on the Dollar Tree little pictures. Now I'd made a smaller little loopy bow and I'm going to add that to the base of this. This is really how I love to design my wreaths, and then give it a good bit of a fluffing. Now I found some lamb's ear and I decided to layer that in as well.
the one thing that I will tell you guys is I really wanted to keep this neutral, so I used different dimensions of greenery. So the lamb's ear was more of a mint green color, and the other greenery kind of trailed and had long stems to it. So that kind of helped things out, and you guys can probably see me disappearing from the frame in just a sec here. It's because I kind of have everything strewn about. So sometimes when I'm working, it's definitely not perfect. Now here's another little trick to fill out a space. I didn't have as much greenery as I wanted to make it really full, so I'm just taking some of these ribbons and looping them over on themselves, and then I'm just going to take a pipe cleaner and add those into the top. Again, that's just a fun little trick to also bring in some of the layers of texture and ribbons to your wreath. And here it is, the finished product in all of its glory. I hope you all enjoyed the process and all my funny faces that I make when I'm making wreaths. And I also hope that you all are inspired to gather some materials that you might have about and make a beautiful all-season wreath or wreath that you have been wanting to make. Be brave, you guys, go for it, have fun with it, give yourself grace. And if you're nervous about using color, do something like this where you're just using a lot of greenery and some black and whites and some neutrals. So I really love this one, and I'm excited to find a spot for this in my home, but I also just might really enjoy this in my studio. So comment and let me know what you all think about this. And always I ask you all comment and let me know, what is your favorite DIY in this video and which one will you be recreating? I love to hear what you guys are up to, and thank you so much for everybody that's posting photos of their home decor and their DIY projects in my Olivia's Romantic Home Facebook group page, and everybody that's tagging me on Instagram. You all are so inspiring, and I'm just so proud of everybody's hard work. Keep up the good work crafting and decorating.
So thank you all so much for joining me on another fun and fabulous crafty decor adventure. It's a true blessing and honor to have you all here. If you all are new, welcome. I'm Olivia with Olivia's Romantic Home, and I love to share with you guys how you can make your home's boutique gorgeous on a budget. I truly believe that y'all don't have to break the bank to have a fabulous, amazing home. And for those of you that come back and love on me, thank you so much. I just want to hug all of your hearts so tight. You all truly mean the world to me. Now, don't forget to light up the comment section with positivity. You can always use your voice for positivity and good. And what you get or what you put out there in this world will come back to you. So if you do your best to put out positive comments, like people's posts, and all of that kind of fun stuff, I promise you that you will be blessed in that area. And also, I would love to invite you guys to subscribe to my, or to follow me over on Facebook. I have a free little group page for you guys. It's Olivia's Romantic Home on Facebook. I post several DIY videos a day over there, and that free group page, you guys can post your photos of your home decor and DIY projects. I love all of your beautiful comments. Thank you so much. I'm hugging all of your hearts so tight. I can't wait for our next video. And until then, remember, be kind to yourselves and be kind to one another. Talk to you guys very soon. Bye-bye.
That I love you.